Welcome back to the Voice of Business. I'm your host, Nicholas Jones, and I'm here today with Jonathan Eldredge, who has a fitness center in Middleton. It's called Middleton Fitness Center. It's located at 1008 West Main Street in Middleton, Idaho. So, John, let's talk a little bit. So where, if they were trying to find your location, though, where would they go in Middleton? Is there like some fixtures? Is it downtown Middleton?
Yeah, so, Middleton, Idaho isn't overly massive. We've got some good amenities, good grocery store and stuff like that. But yeah, we're just right in downtown, right off the main street. Okay. We built a new building there about a year and a half ago, and we've been there and been able to expand that. So we're just kind of right there, right in center town, right off the main street.
Well, fantastic. So you obviously have a business that is going to have some issues for, this COVID pandemic that we have going on. And from what I have seen, you've made some pretty good strides to adapt, you're keeping things clean for people. You're moving forward to help with the comfort level with those who are concerned about COVID. And that's a good thing. So let's talk though about who you are though, and kind of your journey to where you are today. So now you have a family, right, John?
Yeah. I have a wife. We've been married for just over 10 years and 3 little girls. So
fantastic. I've got 2 little girls. I got one on the way. So we'll see. We'll see if it's a boy or a girl. We don't know yet.
Hopefully you're luckier than me. Girls are awesome though. I love being a girl dad.
Well, I like being a girl dad too. I was watching a kid play in the park though. It was a little boy playing with his dad. I don't know. I kind of want that too.
No, I feel that.
And, hey, I raised my daughter for 8 years, just me and her. And so she's kind of tomboyish in a lot of ways. And so that works out okay.
Yeah.
And so you have a wife, 3 little girls, and, what's your education? Like, is there any education that you've gained that has helped you learn about being an entrepreneur?
Yeah. I kind of grew up around it all. On my mother's side, they're, corporate America, if you will. I don't have a lot of family that I'm super close with on that side. My grandparents passed away when I was really young. So that hasn't been a huge influence on my life. But on my father's side, my father's been an entrepreneur. He's done everything from diamond imports and sales to construction to real estate to car dealership to you name it. He's probably been a part of it, Mm-hmm. My grandfather, he's just kind of the old school. He actually has a furniture shop over in Ontario, Oregon, and he did that for 50, 60 years, so I think that entrepreneurship has always just been kind of in my blood a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I remember the thing that probably took me, it was kind of that pivot point. It's kind of funny, kind of going along with that family, is I was doing a it was like a business 101 class in college over in Eastern Idaho. And it was like a Monday morning class at like 7 a.m. The teacher clearly knew that I didn't like the class. It was like we were learning to color in high school. It was for anybody that has any knowledge. You're like, this is so painful and ridiculous, And he calls me into his office. He's like, man, what are you doing here? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to be enthusiastic about a class. I just can't do it, man. It's just rough. This is just not meaningless, but like, I'm not getting a whole lot. He's like, no. I mean, like in school, like, and he brings small world. I guess he knew some of my uncles and my grandfather. And he's like, they're entrepreneurs. Like, what are you even doing in school? Mm-hmm. And then I was like, well, crap, man. If my college professor is telling me this, like, what am I doing here? And I kind of always had those thoughts, but, I did, I went and wrestled back east for a little bit, did some at Boise State, went over to Eastern Idaho. And I eventually just got to the point, I'm like, you know what? Like, I've done some of the classes that I actually learned some of your higher end finance and accounting classes and economics and stuff like that, some of your kinesiology and exercise science classes. And I'm like, I'm just going to go and learn, English and history and my basic core classes for another little bit. I was like, I'm not going to it's the same stuff we've been studying since we're freshmen in high school, So opportunities kind of presented itself, and my wife and I didn't end up going back. And then one thing just kind of led to the next, and we've just been kind of doing our own thing since then.
You're touching on something that is an issue that people who are entering into entrepreneurship really struggle with. It's the current narrative that we have with education, where the people go into high school and they're saying, hey, when you're done with high school, go to college. They don't talk about trade schools. They don't talk about programs that could fast track people to learn some basic skills that they'll need in the world of entrepreneurship, like maybe accounting 101, or here's the legal ramifications of business legalities. They don't. They fucking go to college.
Yeah.
And that's a disservice to the majority of people, because even with millennials or Generation Z, X, whatever it is, they are all focused. They're all hearing the horror stories that they have from their parents. They're like, oh, I struggle with this, I struggle with this. And even those who are in the millennial work world, when they're going out to try to escape the rat race, they find it very difficult to do that. But just because of the narrative they have for education, go get a college education, you'll be fine. Our world very much has become one of, hey, if you really want to get ahead in life, start a business, build a business, create employees. And, hey, if you need to go and work for somebody to learn how to do it, that's great. But eventually the real route that people need to take is entrepreneurship. And that sounds like kind of the struggle that you were having. You had the narrative of go to college. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, somewhat. It's just part of the culture. And I think it's, from when we went to college, it was definitely like that. And I think other avenues are kind of opening options and people open their minds a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, just it's almost as if formal education is its own little world. I remember learning in high school, the first day we learned about imaginary numbers. And I'm like, wait, we're learning about like problems that can't actually exist in real life, How about some financial literacy? How about some
counting, some basics, just like some life skills.
Exactly, And it's like, there was like one exploratory class, like, financial something, whatever, it was big, and it was great, but it was like, this should be like a basic thing required of everybody,
My wife and I have actually had a conversation on that frequently, where we realize that, hey, the majority of life's problems could be solved if people leaving high school understood accounting, understood financial 101, like the basic core concept, like understood what the stock market is, like how to save and bolster things. I mean, the stock market right now was, I guess, low. That would have been a great opportunity for people to put in whatever money they have into it and then ride it and pull it out. People don't understand it. Yeah. They don't understand it. I taught college for 4 years, and it was really depressing having people come to my class. Nobody knew about accounting. Yeah. Nobody knew about finance. It's like, oh my gosh, we got to start there. So we had to dive into that.
Yeah, and right now, I'm even, I'm a pretty big advocate of commodities. Hard assets, gold, silver, in particular. And, I've been talking to a lot of people, and well, why? And I just bring up inflation and probably 98% of the people they don't even understand the basic concept of inflation and hard assets to protect against inflation. They're like, wait, so explain that to me. I'm like, man, like I get it, but like this isn't like finance 405 we're talking. This is like 201, like
basic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the stressor that we're in, and the world is shifting. It's going to be entrepreneurship is going to be really the thing that is going to carry people through. But entrepreneurship is that widespread of things. Even with your gym, the Middleton Fitness Center. I mean, you cover accounting, you cover finance, you cover protecting yourself against the situation we're in right now. You cover business plans and all the entire gamut of these real life skills. You work with them on a daily basis. And how do you have like a bookkeeper in your business, or or does your wife function as that? Function?
I pretty much do everything myself. I kind of like, obviously as entrepreneurs, we kind of like doing things our own way,
Yeah, we do.
So I kind of take a role in all the back end stuff as well. And it helps me just know for sure what's going on, instead of just getting, a monthly QuickBooks report or something like that. I'm actually seeing the day to day, okay, what's happening, influxes and decreases and increases and how we're doing and everything like that. And it kind of helps me modify, what we aren't doing.
And the boots on the ground, seeing things and making decisions as you go. That's one of the core concepts there with entrepreneurship. And one of the things that I've also started to see happen, and again, everyone listening, don't do this. It's where people just rack up the debt. They go and get loans. They've got a business, they've got a little bit of income coming in, and then a merchant advance company comes to them and says, hey, guess what? I will give you $40,000 right now. And don't worry, you're just going to pay me a percentage of your credit card sales over an X period of time. And people find themselves in this situation now where they're like, oh, crap, like I can't make payments, can't do all this type of stuff. They have these, even with money tree loans and everything like that, it's like stay away from debt, everyone. Like it's bad. And so we're going to come back to you briefly here after a short commercial break, and we'll talk to you soon. This is Nicholas Jones with The Voice of Business, and I'm interviewing Jonathan Eldredge with Middleton Fitness Center. Welcome back to The Voice of Business. I hope you're having a wonderful Saturday. I, again, am here with Jonathan Eldredge, who owns Middleton Fitness Center with his wife. And I want to talk more, dig into really what Middleton Fitness Center is. And so to get there, let's hammer in on that transition point that we were talking about earlier, where you switched. So you start. We were talking off air. You had managed a gym with your wife for a year,
So
period of time.
kind of I was telling you with school and kind of that having that discussion with that teacher and stuff. When we were kind of between semesters, we came back here. I started just being a personal trainer for a local gym. And my wife was doing the same thing. And then we kind of transitioned into managing that together for about a year. And honestly, I really like helping people, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever it is. And I saw that, and, some opportunities were going to supposedly present themselves. They just didn't really come to fruition. So there were some things that were kind of done on the back end operation side that I wasn't gung ho about. And I was like, you know what? Like, I think I could do something. So, I just went and started my own little personal training facility.
So you started pretty small, like just like did you rent a little space, or?
And just as you were saying, like, do as I say, not as I do, right here, right? Most people, but to be honest with you, I maxed out all my credit cards and I bought some equipment and I had a little 1,000 square foot training facility, and I was like, hey, you know what, like. But, I kind of did the math. I was like, all right, like payments are this, interest is this, like I'm going to be able to bring in this. And it was like, hey, I can do this, And I felt like there was a need for that. And we were able.
Well, even with that, like we're not like that's different. Where there's startup costs that are associated with everything, and in that type of situation, it's all about little bets. It's saying, hey, can I take this on and survive?
Yeah.
And the problem that people get with debt is that they're always like, they think it's blue sky, where they're like, oh, if I take this debt, then I have the money now.
Yeah.
It's like, if you don't need it, like just suck it up and don't go buy yourself a Ferrari.
Yep.
But you were buying hard assets. You were buying things that could generate income if you put in the effort. That's a different scenario. That's good.
Yeah.
So sorry, continue what you're talking about.
But no, so we did that, and we were moderately successful with that, and then kind of expanded that same business for a little bit. And then one of my clients actually wanted me to come and build homes with him, kind of work on the back end of that, the sales and the business side of that. A great guy. We're still friends to this day. He's a great mentor of mine. Really respect the guy. But went and worked for him for probably 6-8 months. And I was like, you know what? Like I said, this is working with a great guy too. I was like, I just really want to do my own thing. And then just some different opportunities presented itself where there was a location and an ability and stuff so that we could start a gym in Middleton. So we did that, and we've been pretty fortunate and blessed since then,
And how did they evolve from the small fitness center to where you had some equipment and personal training and everything? What was the transition point to now you have a full-on gym?
Yeah, so kind of once again, and to each their own, and everybody's appetite for risk is a little bit different. When we had made that transition to go into Middleton, it's funny because my wife and I would drive by this one little location. I was like, hey, we're going to put a gym there someday. But it wasn't quite big enough. And I was like, one day we'll put a gym there. And this went on for like 2 or 3 years because there was no gym in Middleton, whole little, it's not that big, but a whole little town, no gym. And then the space next door came up. And I was like, hey, we could combine the spaces. I think we could reach that critical mass point for size. So we basically took any money we had in savings. We had sold our house, maxed out all of our credit cards again. And, we had moved 3 weeks before my wife was supposed to have our first baby.
Oh, fun!
And she was a trooper.
My wife
with that.
and I did that too, and she's like, we're never doing that again.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I remember just laying there in bed and literally 4 cents in my bank account, and I'm just like, what did I do? All right, hey, it's go time. So a little stressful and good, but there was an opportunity that kind of presented itself there, and I've said this to some people and to my wife all along. If there's a good enough opportunity, money shouldn't ever be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If money's the issue, then obviously there's opportunities. It's a matter of how good of opportunities,
Yeah,
but
if you're worried about that, it's probably not as good an opportunity as you're hoping.
Exactly. Yeah. And we had a pretty good opportunity there. So it kind of made sense to leverage ourselves a little more than we'd ideally be comfortable, and it's able to work out. We've been fortunate and stuff, but yeah.
Yep. And so that was 7 years ago, right? So that was 2013-ish.
Yeah.
That you opened the gym.
Yep.
And how long did it take till you had your first person bite?
Honestly, we opened up and it was pretty much just good out of the gate, to be honest with you. We've been able to be pretty fortunate, and and be blessed financially with that. I remember just even after the first few months, we opened up in the fall time and going in to visit with the accountant here, in like January, February, kind of going over that quote year, it's only a few months. He's like, okay, like these are contracts for like accounts receivable, right? I'm like, no, like that's like cash for the year. He's like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, like, no, that's just, here's how I do it. Here's what's up. And he's like, oh man. He's like, I've been in this a long time. Like that's a lot better than I've seen before. So, we've been able to just kind of hit the ground running and we try to treat people, we try to run our business a little different than most gyms, like, yes, it's a business and yes, we want to make money or else we can't stay open.
Yeah, but it's a necessariness.
But first and foremost, we want to be there to help people. You know what I mean? Like I tell all my employees this too, is I never want us to have the attitude that we're chasing the dollar. If we're just chasing the dollar, then like, hey, let's take a step back. Like, what do we got going on? What are we doing here? Because I never really want to have that attitude.
So your focus is on the individual then.
Yeah.
Is the main focus. So I've noticed that a lot of times with businesses, when they're just chasing the dollar, they're not as successful. People can see through that. One of the things that's occurred within our day and age is transparency has become a thing. Like people like transparency and people can tell when you're fake. And that's the beauty of our world. It's not good for people who want to be fakes, but it's good for us as individuals because we go, oh, that person's fake. Like I can see that they're really in it just for this. They don't care about me as an individual. Yeah. And that lack of trust is what creates a problem. And when you have a very service-driven type of thing where, they have their stuff they're providing, but you have to provide them a service, whether it's, a drinking fountain or individual engaging with them, like people look for that. I mean, the big behemoths like Amazon, they don't care about it. I mean, they have a machine learning algorithm that says, oh, you want to buy this? Here, buy it. And you I don't know, you buy it on the toilet, you never interact with them. But I mean, how often do you engage with your customer base?
Oh, every day.
Every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm there if I'm not cleaning a toilet or vacuuming something or doing some phone calls or handling some emails. So I'll be working out or whatnot, And I think that's a lot of people look at business, and people probably, maybe even some people listening right now, I've heard had other friends that are kind of in our realm that are like, oh, I saw this person at this place, they're like mopping the floors and everything. And I was like, man, that's just too bad for them. They're just having to work their butt off in there and do this and that. So I'm like, yeah, but what is their financial ramifications of that? Mm-hmm. They're probably doing a lot better than you think because they're doing those things.
Yeah, they're doing their own things.
And that's what people don't realize. It's like, yeah, it's sexy to like see the stuff on Instagram or Facebook, the dude driving the Ferrari, cashing the real estate checks and everything like that. But it's like, hey, like that's not reality for 99% of entrepreneurs. The reality of 99% of successful entrepreneurs, like you're in there doing the day-to-day crap that nobody else wants to do. Like we've had some other stuff, we've with some other gyms and other businesses we've done. And I've realized more and more as every year goes by, it's like entrepreneurship isn't that hard. It's just a matter of being willing to do the crap that nobody else wants to do. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if you're making X, are you still going to be humble enough to go in there and clean the toilets as they need to? Or are you going to kind of get that paradigm shift and be like, oh, well, I'll hire somebody to do that. And before you know it, you're not doing anything with your business and now you're not making as good of money and yeah, it's doing all right, but it's just not the same,
That reminds me of an experience I had with my mentor, Peter, where I was hired on to do a consulting gig, and that's where I ended up meeting Peter. And the topic of some very unpleasant work came up, and I laced up my shoes, getting up to go and do it, as Peter, who owned the entire company, just walked over to go and do it. And I realized at times, like, I want to be like him because I'm going to go sit back and work on my computer because I don't have to do it now.
Yeah.
But he just got up and did it himself. And that's kind of in itself the essence of leadership. And leadership, entrepreneurship are synonyms in a way because of that, because you got to get out there, spearhead, and get it done.
Yeah.
And get your hands dirty. And so with the concept of your gym, what is the overall concept of your gym?
So basically my concept is we're running our gym from a consumer's perspective and desire. We're especially when we first started, we were super unique. Now we're like somewhat unique, but gyms are kind of evolving a little bit for the better for people. So basically with our gym, like we don't do any contracts, like everything's just month to month, mm-hmm. You're not locked in. We don't do any startup costs or processing fee or enrollment or anything like that.
Oh, nice.
We don't do any like annual fees or facility enhancement fees, like nothing like that. So you pay $25 a month. You have 24 access to the gym with, lockers and tanning and spin class, all that. It's basically everything's included. And then if you ever need to stop, just come in and fill out a cancel form. Like there's no fees for that or anything. So it's like, hey, like it keeps our customer service aspect really easy because people are like, hey, I want to sign up. Like, all right, sweet.
Here's this form, $25.
Here's this form. It's $25 on the first of the month. Okay, so if I need to cancel, like, oh, just come in, fill out the cancel form. You're done. Okay. You know, they're like, oh, do you have like a brochure? I'm like, I mean, I can write $25 on the back of a business card if you want. You know what I mean? Like, it's super easy and it's super and you have a lot of these places. I'm not trying to talk about any other businesses, you know, to each their own and stuff, but you know, you got this and then that. And you're like, wait a second, how did I just drop $100 when I got a postcard that said $9 a month, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And so what about this? This is one of my sour experiences I always have with places. It just like rakes me over the coals. I hate it. I go to cancel and they're like, oh, sorry, you had to cancel 14 days ago. We still have to charge you for this upcoming month. I was like, what are you talking about? There's like 6 days left in the month. And they're like, nah, sorry. I mean, what do they do? How does that work with you?
So a lot of places do like a 30-day cancel notice, which is like, i.e. you're always billed one more time, which is just kind of lame. So we try and tell people, like I tell everybody 10 days before the first, like, hopefully not too many people listening to this, but I don't actually mean 10 days, you know, because I like, oh, I'm going to come in yesterday, you know, like, well, one day make a difference. So usually I just need like when we get to like a few days before the first, just because like we're smaller, like I have to actually like just like go through and kind of get it, like sit down, stuff like that. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, and I'll tell people that, you know, I'm like, hey man, like, you know, like it's 8:30 and tomorrow's the first, like, that's too little too late, man. But, you know, we'll try and do something for them. Like, hey, when you come back, if we're going to, like, we'll give you a first month, you know, credit that back to you or do something for them, you know, like, so yeah, I mean, you got to, just like any business, you got to have policy.
See, policy, you have to have policy.
Yeah.
But what you're telling me, though, is you do what you can to work with them.
Yeah.
So see, even that, there's still some customer, like, facing, like, hey, you're a human being.
Yeah, and our quote contracts are one page on the front, like 5 little paragraphs. We go over it all with people. It's not, I mean, you've seen them, those front and back. They're like 8-point font. You're like, all right, hold on, give me 20 minutes to read through this. You know, it's like you can read through word by word on our thing for like in like 30 seconds, you know? So it's like super easy, super basic. We try and keep everything very customer friendly, if you will, you know?
Yeah, so simplicity is also the next thing emerging out of everything in our economy and in our world is simplicity sells. And all that complexity doesn't. And there's, for some reason, when you leave this entrepreneurial world and you go into the corporate world, you realize, oh, we can charge an extra $100 here, a $50 here, a little fee here, all this type of stuff. And that you have to make the contract longer and longer. And so the shorter a contract usually in and of itself is saying, hey, there's not a lot of hidden fees here with this. And so, yeah. All right. So we will be back after a short commercial break. You're listening to The Voice of Business, and I'm interviewing a Middleton Fitness Center owner, Jonathan Eldredge. Welcome back to The Voice of Business. I'm interviewing Jonathan Eldredge here with Middleton Fitness Center. And the real question that sometimes people want to ask, John, is why do people come to you? So what's your value proposition? Why do people buy your stuff? Is you know, we've been talking about simplicity, but why do they buy it? Why do they buy your service?
Yeah, you know, obviously people have their choice of services they want to go and participate in, stuff like that. I think one of the things that helps us, I think, a lot is just the fact that we are, you know, quote, family friendly. I know a lot of businesses say that, you know, but like, I feel like we truly are trying to provide a good service for people and trying to, you know, be involved in the community, try and do good, you know, and treat people how they want to be treated, you know. We're not a huge facility, you know, I mean, we're in Middleton, so it's not like we have 10,000 members or anything. So we know most of our members and we can chat with them and, hey, what's going on with your day? What's going on with that and everything. You know, just as we had said, you know, with kind of the pricing and simplicity of the contracts, you know, it's very easy. The barrier to entry is easy, you know, because we charge $25 on the first of every month. So you come in today, you're like, it's like a prorated amount for the first year. Like, hey, you have $20? Like, oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Let's do it. You know, it's like the barrier to entry is super easy, you know. And then just the fact that like, all right, well, barrier to entry is super easy. We should be the most affordable gym, you know, by the time you get in all the other junk fees that similar places do. We're open 24 hours. Everybody that works here is also a personal trainer, so we can always just help you out, answer a question, show you how to use a machine, something like that. And then, you know, we have everything from, you know, equipment to childcare to spin classes to group fitness to showers. So it's like there's really not a huge reason why a lot of people wouldn't want to participate. You know, obviously everybody has their own vibes and things like that, you know, but we're a fairly diverse, hey, we've got everything from hardcore national level powerlifters to 80-year-old, you know, kind old ladies that are using their machine and walking on the treadmill for balance, you know? So it makes it kind of cool.
And so how have you, so you've talked heavily about the customer focus that you have it on there. So you mentioned that you have spin cycles. Like, how many spin cycles do you have? Do you have spin classes as well for people? Or?
Yeah, so we have spin classes. We do, I think we have like 10 or a dozen bikes or something like that. So, I mean, being a small gym,
Yeah, I mean, it's
they're
small.
even full, So, so we do like a few morning ones, a few evening ones.
And are you leading those?
We have instructors lead those. So
okay.
yeah, so I'm there. I'm not like quote on a shift or anything like that, but I'm there doing some personal training. They're helping people out and just managing stuff, if you will. So you'll find me in there quite a bit of time still. But yeah, we have group fitness instructors, we have the spin instructors, we have personal trainers, and we have our staff. The thing is we want people to come in and feel like they can just check their ego at the door and just come in and work out for themselves, And I've had people come in that I'm like, you know what? Like, if you just want to sit there and watch TV and you're asking about, pizza parties on Monday nights, like, this might not be the gym for you, you know? But on the same note too, the dude bro that comes in a strainer tank that's just like eyeballing all the girls, dumping all the weights, I'm like, you know what? This might not be the gym for you either, And with me being there, I can kind of help create the culture that we want to, where anybody can go in like, hey, oh, okay, we all just check our egos at the door and we're just doing our thing. Whether I'm lifting 5 pounds or 500, we're all just cool with each other and making a good place. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, that's what we're about, So we try and create that culture.
So that's an interesting concept that I actually hadn't thought about prior to what you just said. When I went to a larger gym and I just didn't like it, like whether it was people looking at my wife, whether it was, just me being uncomfortable, people making fun of me because I was tiny compared to other people. I never really thought about that in detail, but that is actually one of your focuses, is maintaining the culture that you have within the gym.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope this doesn't come off egocentrically or anything like that, but I'm fairly into powerlifting and do some bodybuilding stuff and like that too. So for most of the guys that are in there, because generally speaking, especially with the gentlemen that have the issue, it's not the dudes that are truly strong, the elite level people. It's the in between guys that are just like, oh, hey, look at that girl, or oh, that dude's he's so stupid, So when I can come in and be like, hey man, like, that's lame, like, don't do that, And they're like, oh well, this guy can way outlift me and he owns the gym and what, you know what I mean? Like, but be cool with them about it and be like, hey, like, that's how I do things here. It's like in a very, articulate way, basically.
Yeah,
like, hey,
a nice way.
Yeah, like, that's not how we do things here. And if you want to do that here, like, that's not how we roll. So you're welcome to go, Like I said, obviously in a much more articulate way, but
yeah,
a
better way. And that actually sounds like probably one of the main values that you're delivering to people is that environment. You're managing the culture. So, that you're not letting someone come in and poison it.
Yeah.
And that is actually one of the beauties of small business, as opposed to the big corporate monsters that we have out there in the world. When their ship starts going one direction, they can't right that ship.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going that way, and it's very hard to change course. Even with these bigger chain gyms, like, that's the same type of thing, is that they're going the way they're going. Even if they're off course, it's very hard to direct it. But with being an entrepreneur in a small business, you can be a lot more nimble. Even within my business, when things start to drift, I can immediately just shove it back over there and I'm good.
Yeah.
And that sounds like I just never thought about that concept from a gym. And I actually have had a lot of conversations with people, and I've never actually had someone in a gym or a similar type of situation talk about managing the culture in that way, which is kind of novel, and I don't think it should be. That seems, now that I'm hearing what you're saying, it kind of gives me a moment of pause where I think that should have been a no-brainer from the beginning. So did you have, like, what about from you from beginning? Is that kind of, or did that evolve? Were there situations that happened where you're like, hey, we need a...
No, not really. I mean, we've just kind of always had that attitude, If I'm in the gym, like, you can see me going and talking with the 80-year-old nice lady and the 20-year-old guy that's trying to get bigger and everything. It's just like, hey, we're all in this together. Like, let's just get better together,
So but where was the first situation where you had to be like, hey, maybe you should go somewhere else because this is not what we want to have here? Like,
I haven't had to actually kick that many people out or cancel that many people's memberships, so like that. Like, it's happened a few times, but that's after some conversations and everything, and you just try to tell them, like, there's always a reason why, you know what I mean? Like, you always got to guide people with the reason why, you're like, oh, do this. You're like, why? That doesn't really make any sense, But then if you say, hey, here's what's going on, here's why, here's what's up there. Oh, okay. You know, it makes more sense if you can kind of explain people why, you know?
Oh, well, I mean, that does. People like to know why. They like a reason. They don't like just being told to do anything, especially in our world. Our world is very, like today is very much of why.
Yeah.
Like, why should I do this?
Yep. Well, and you handle it on the front end too. You know, like when somebody comes in for like to check out the gym and I give them a tour, like I can usually get the vibes. I'm like, hey, you know what? Like this person might not be a good fit here. So, you know, we'll give them the tour, give them everything. Be like, hey, yeah, cool. Well, you know, have a great day. And if you decide that you want to come do something eventually, you know, come in and let us know or something. So it's in a nice way, basically saying like, hey, like, have a good one.
Yeah. So this is novel because what you're actually speaking the actions. You mentioned before that you're not necessarily chasing the dollar. We know you have to be profitable, otherwise you're just going to go do something else.
Yeah.
And you also have to feed your family.
Yeah.
But you're not just chasing the dollar. And judging from the fact that you're willing to actually turn someone away who's going to poison the culture of what you're trying to build is a fantastic example of I'm not just chasing the dollar. That obviously is going to have monetary value too as well, because people will come specifically because what you're providing is a good culture for people. But
hopefully.
But you're not willing to say, and you know what, like we'll get rid of that. And this because the reoccurring model that you have, like you rely on people enjoying the experience.
Yeah.
And so we'll be back in. And after a short commercial break, you're listening to The Voice of Business, and have a wonderful Saturday. Welcome back to The Voice of Business. You're listening to Nicholas Jones, and I am interviewing Middleton Fitness Center owner Jonathan Eldredge. Now, we were talking about the culture that you have in your gym. Now, how big is your gym? Like, what is the square footage size?
Yeah, so right now we're about 7,200 square feet.
Oh, that's reasonably sized. Is it just single level?
Yeah, yep, just single level, 7,200 square feet. Most of it's just open gym area, if you will, and then we have a couple tanning rooms, cycling room. We have a supplement store in there. Actually run my own supplement company too, Domination Supplements. We have a little cross training area, and then office and lockers and stuff like that. So.
Around when did you start doing your own supplements?
Oh, we did that about a year and a half ago. So it's just a simple protein supplement line. Yeah, we don't have to get into that a ton, but yeah, basically we just try and provide, some good quality, affordable supplements for people just needing to up their protein levels a little bit, which in today's processed food world is sometimes hard.
Oh, I've never been much of a. I mean, I like chicken and tuna, and but I grew up with a vegan mother who didn't want to kill animals or anything, and I was always protein deficient, and still am, because I just like to eat ice cream and cereal.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Granola bars.
Yep, little PB&J.
And so you've got a supplement store, you've got 2 tanning beds.
Just two little
tanning
beds in there,
spin
people can
bikes,
use.
and then you've got childcare for people and an area specifically for
for kids, like little kids room, childcare
little kids room, and then you've got showers. How many showers do you have?
We have 2 in the ladies, 2 in the guys.
2 in the ladies, 2 in the guys. Okay, I mean that's enough for what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And how many people live in Middleton, anyways?
So
Middleton.
There's like Middleton City, but then there's also like the greater Middleton area. Like technically parts of like the town Caldwell right next to us is part of
the greater
I would
Middleton
think
area.
would be Middleton, So if you take like the whole, like what I consider Middleton, we're probably, I don't know, somebody's probably gonna correct me on this, but we're probably like 12 to 15,000 of what I would consider Middleton, but that kind of includes some kind of outskirt area.
Okay, a little bit smaller than I actually had thought.
Yeah, it's not overly big, and that's grown a lot since when we first started too. I mean, we've probably grown, if I just had to guess, I'd say we've probably grown like 40% population from when we first started.
From 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow, that is significant.
Middleton's, you should come hang out one of these days. It's grown like crazy out there.
Huh. That's a little bit bigger than I thought. And so this is the only business that you're doing now, right? Is the Middleton Fitness Center and everything kind of around that.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, just like yourself, kind of.
Yeah, you've got little things on the side. Yeah,
but yeah, this is the bread and butter. Yeah.
Yeah, the bread and butter.
Yep.
And so do you have do you have like much of an attrition rate of people leaving, or do people come on, stay on, and?
Both. But like, to be honest, like that's okay with me. Like, because all of our memberships are just month to month. Like any given month, we'll have a lot of people come, we'll have a lot of people go, So our like breakage, the point, where people sign up and don't use it, is way lower than most other gyms, because they're not using it, they're just going to cancel it. They don't feel pot committed because they pay a bunch of fees up front. They're not locked in on a contract. So like our user rate is a lot higher than other gyms, which is what I'm all about. Like I want people working out, I want people doing it. And if they're not going to do it or not going to work out, like I don't want them to have a membership,
Yeah. You're not focused on that.
Yeah. So we're just trying to focus on actually having people work out. Our model isn't just this crazy high volume, low price model. It's, we want people actually using the facility. So yeah, on any given month, we'll have, give me the month, we'll have lots of people come, lots of people go. On any given day, we'll have people come and go and everything, so.
And so going into this post-apocalyptic world, or still in the apocalyptic world we're in with this hashtag 2020, what have you done to survive as a gym? Because this is you're one of the businesses that COVID has, sucker punched in the gut pretty hard. Like, so what kind of things are you doing to survive in this environment?
Yeah, well, I think that the people that had run in an appropriate establishment before are being rewarded during this time. Because like in our industry, like a lot of other gyms, I mean, you've been into them, like you go in, you're like, dude, that is gross. Like, I'm not gonna do push-ups on that ground. Or you like look at a treadmill, you're like,
oh yeah,
man, like when was the last time that thing was wiped down? You know what I mean? But like we're always like, so we're staffed vast majority of the time. Most 24-hour gyms are only staffed, like 8 to 5 or whatever. Like we're there from like 5 something in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. So like we're there vast majority of the time. And like I would dare say our gym's probably cleaner than most other gyms. Like it always has been. So you're like, oh, you stepping up your cleaning practices? I'm like, no.
Yeah, so going into it, you were already
what I mean? Like, oh, are you guys doing this?
Clean.
You're like, well, yeah, we always have though. Like, well, what about this? Like, yeah, we've always done that. Like, well, guys, like we're not really changing a whole lot. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's some minor tweaks or whatever, to make people feel comfortable. But like, it's the same things we'd basically always been doing, just trying to take care of the place.
Well, good. Yeah, see it's refreshing to hear that we're already doing all that stuff. There's not much to change. And like even in my restaurants, because I have my Good Burger restaurants.
Yeah.
And then people are like, well, what are you adapting? What are you changing? It's like, well, we're wearing masks all the time, and we are cleaning the doors and everything like that. But as far as cleaning the tables, we're doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, like why would you not clean the tables or the chairs where everybody's touching it? People don't wash their hands right before they eat food.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, like the fact that this is all novel, that everybody needs to be cleaning more. It's like, nah. People don't wash their hands.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to be touching that stuff. It's gross. And so, we did up it, so instead of doing it like every 15, 20 minutes or whenever somebody gets up, like we do a whole clean down every like 15, 30 minutes. Like we updated that, but that was really it.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's like, no, dude, if a person sat there and got up, we wash everything because we don't know where their hands have been in the first place.
Yeah.
And so, but that's good. That's refreshing to hear. That's probably refreshing to everybody here. It's like, no, we were just clean before. So we're just staying clean. So before we head off, do you have anything you want to share with the people about why they should come to your gym real quick here? Kind of your elevator pitch?
No. I mean, I guess just the shameless plug, if you want to come over to our place, obviously we're kind of localized. We're kind of out on the outskirts out there in Middleton. But the thing that I tell everybody, whether you're coming in for the gym and anybody listening to this is, kind of the rising tide raises all ships. On average, only 10 to 15% of people in America have a gym membership. So even if it's not us, just get in somewhere and do something just to better yourself, especially in times, just crazy times like right now, like that strength and drive and discipline that you can gain, in the gym or doing athletics or just pushing yourselves will like pay dividends into other parts of your life, So just get after it. If you want to come see us, great, awesome. We'd love to have you, but just do something somewhere, somehow.
Perfect. So I'll have all this details of his address, the name of the fitness center, Middleton Fitness Center, on the website voiceofbusiness.com. Head over there. You can listen to this episode and other episodes as well. I hope you have a wonderful Saturday. Everybody take care.
Thank you.